Welcome back to the podcast, From Dentist to De Novo. I am, stoked or excited or out of my mind about the guest I have this week, and that is a man who has built the largest community for the next generation of dentists in IgniteDDS. He's also authored the book, Is Everyone Smiling But You? And is the pioneer, if you will, of what you call the self-determined future. Dr. David Rice.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey, man, you've been a friend as well now for the last decade, so that's also pretty cool.
Couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the part I would highlight personally.
Yeah. Leave all the other stuff out.
Pioneering is good, but I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, right on. Well, and the book is it 2 years old?
Yeah, 2 years old.
Yeah, wow. Okay, flies by.
It's crazy how it flies by.
That's how it is. And Self-Determined Future came before the book or after?
Right after,
process.
actually.
Okay.
Yeah, right after.
That was really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd never heard that concept before.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
And all right, so you talk a lot about different concepts, whether it's through the coaching at Ignite, whether it's through some of the stuff in the book. But this one thing you talk about is redline versus greenline.
Yeah.
And to pull on that thread, give us a bit of your perspective on doctors who might be at that red line, the story you hear often, grinding it out, working for someone else, building their thing. I would call that a red line situation, or we'll say situationship. But talk to me then about what's the stuff they can do to get on the green line or head towards the green line or really take control.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to realize maybe the number one thing that holds all of us back, and that is we think too much, right?
Okay, I like
we
that.
think we worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. Can I produce enough? Can I pay my bills? Mm-hmm. Will patients come to me if I do a startup? Can I build a team and all the things? So we overthink and overanalyze anything. So the first decision you need to make as a young dentist associate, mm-hmm. who's, I would agree with you, for the most part, redlining it and, mm-hmm. and moving in the wrong direction, is realize you actually have all the skills you need to go do it.
Yeah. You
just have to get out of your own way.
Got it. So the old... I always mess this up. Analysis paralysis.
Oh, yeah.
Paralysis analysis.
Yeah.
We're in the same genre, right?
Same genre.
Do you find that it's a little bit about what I try and tell doctors is more often than not, if they say, hey, I know I want to go do my own thing, be a practice owner, whether it's by way of acquisition or startup, I usually am saying, hey, you have to focus on what you're going to cut out of that process. Mm. What's the thing that you're willing to alleviate from your day-to-day or your week-to-week or your month-to-month? Or willing to say no to. You're going to have to maybe say no to certain events, certain things. You might have to say no to more associate jobs. You might have to say no to this associate job. But where would you say? Is it some version of that? Is it something else that you found?
Yeah. You know what? I think the biggest no you have to say to is everything you see on social media, right? We've talked about this before. The biggest no you need to say, right? You got to tighten your circle. Mm-hmm. And I always tell people, I'm like, keep your circle tight and then trust them 100%. And if you can't trust them 100%, then unplug them from your circle and put somebody else in that spot. But young dentists today waste more time, analysis paralysis, right? Like researching things ad nauseum from all the wrong people.
Okay. So you had, and I don't think you came to this epiphany way back when, but if we do go way back when, you obviously have done this stuff. You had your own practice. You had a successful partnership in that practice. You had what I would consider a very successful exit in that practice. Is there anything in that you learned through this, or you would maybe go back to that young David and say, hey, do this instead? Yeah,
I would say my Achilles heel, one of my faults, which I still work on every day today, is the worry that I'm supposed to have all the answers. So as a young dentist, I felt like I need to walk in a room and everybody needs to think I know everything already. So I was maybe hesitant to ask more questions. I was hesitant to be really vulnerable and say, like, you know what? I don't know any of these things. I know I want to start my own practice. I know I want to buy a practice. And I'm looking for the right people who are already like massively successful doing what I want to do. It took me a few years to get there. But once I got there, I've got to tell you, like, CPA who brought Mark, my former partner in the practice, and I, places we would have never gone on our own.
Yeah.
So learning to trust that inner circle.
And I love that part about the, hey, make it tight and make sure you can trust them 100%. If you can't, pull them out. Yeah. And would you say replace them or maybe just go without them?
Oh, that's a good point. I think early on you probably will need to replace them. If most young dentists are like I was, I knew how to look at a patient, maybe sort of kind of diagnose them, basically restoratively treat them and a couple other simple things. And that's all I knew.
Okay.
I had no knowledge of how to run a business, how to lead a team, how to build a team, make anyone follow me in any way, shape, or form. So I would replace them early on. And then as you gain experience and skills, and maybe you don't need all of those people.
There was obviously stuff you were concerned or worried about back then that today maybe is building a team and leading people that you're really confident in doing. But what are the things that you're concerned or worried about today? Because I don't think that you're never going to be fearless of everything. You're going to have new problems, new things. Is there anything that you can think of in the world today, whether it's what you're building with Ignite or something else that you're worried about or concerned about today?
Yeah. So personally for me,
Yeah.
or Ignite, heck yeah. So Ignite's really a startup, right?
Yeah,
When you look
true,
at that. So
true.
I'm now on my second startup
Yeah.
in my career. And yeah, I've learned how to build teams, so box check, but it's always fear of the unknown. Like, how do I really scale this thing where I know it can go? So I'm literally going through that process all over again, and I'm finding different mentors who can help me on a different level today to get there.
When did you get comfortable with delegating? Because I think that's something that you're really good at, but I think that's something that most folks struggle with. And I think especially in dentistry, you're certainly not taught to delegate. And you're certainly taught more or less like, hey, this is on you. The practice and the way the practice goes is on your hands and your hand speed and your skill set, and the leadership is on you, and then everything is on you. So there isn't really a whole lot of people to either trust and delegate with or knowledge base, right? You can't just say, oh, you can figure this out, assistant or hygienist. A lot of it has to come back to what you know and what you were trained to do as a dentist. So when do you think you got really good at delegating? Because I'm jealous of your delegation.
Oh, thank you.
By the way.
Appreciate that. Well, don't be too jealous, because I'm pretty sure I banged my head on a lot of hard surfaces along the way to get there. It was probably 4 or 5 years into owning my practice. I think I was like okay when I was an associate. I felt really comfortable delegating to my assistant or delegating to a hygienist team member, but I don't think I was ever really comfortable till maybe 4 or 5 years in, when I realized, I'm like, wow, I have a group of really smart people, and if I just get the heck out of their way, then they're going to help me sprint farther and faster than I can go. And I remember, can I tell you a quick story?
Please.
So when I bought the practice, this was maybe the first real hammer on the head as an owner. Her name was Lynn, hygienist, amazing hygienist, sat me down. She had been with the practice 9 years. So this was like a little bit of a gut check and a mirror test as a new owner, right?
Yeah.
Could have gone one of two ways. Thankfully, I listened. But she looked at me and she said, I know that the dentist who sold this practice to you would have never sold it to you if you didn't believe you were talented enough to be the guy. She smiled and she's like, I'm that person on the hygiene team, and I need you to let me do what I do.
Wow.
While you do what you do. And I think I was probably naive enough, maybe scared.
Yeah,
as a new owner, I'm like, whoa, wait a second.
Yeah, please.
And I watched her do that, and then I learned a little bit every year. By probably year 4, felt good.
Yeah. Okay. And so you got forced into delegation, it sounds like, really.
Yeah. I got led.
But you got,
strongly led.
I like that. But then you saw that it worked. You saw that it can be beneficial. And okay, great. And just to get more and more comfortable and more confident. Okay. I got that part. So then if we look at, I think something that holds a lot of doctors back is this. You had alluded to this analysis paralysis piece of it. That's what I'm dumbing it down to. Yours is a much more elegant answer. But my point being is, I find that folks are waiting around to feel ready or be ready. And I will say, I am impressed with the young doctor where they do come out and self-admittedly say, hey, I go to business school and I don't know this and I don't know that. And I'm a little bit worried about that, because the story we keep telling ourselves is usually the story that we're always hearing, or the loudest voice in the room is the voice inside our head.
Yeah.
And so I'm a little worried about how much they're telling themselves they don't know about business, and how much they're saying, well, I can't handle this, or I don't know this, or whatever, because I'm afraid that's going to kind of make them shrink down in size on wanting to take that step into ownership. But I think that a lot of doctors wait around for some sort of feeling of being ready, or some sort of, maybe they think it's a clinical thing, or once I can check the box and I've done this education thing, or I've gone to this seminar thing, or I've gotten this CE under my belt. Where do you see most doctors struggling with that feeling of being ready? Because I have my own answer, but I want to hear yours.
Yeah, I think it comes back to that overthinking. Like people get so consumed with all the things that could go wrong. And really, what's that phrase? Like you got to just jump out of the plane and know the parachute's going to open.
Yeah.
No one's ready.
Yeah.
No one is ever ready, right? Were you ready to like be a dad?
No,
right?
Certainly not.
Like you're never really totally ready. So you just have to go for it. And then you're going to learn some lessons from the people you work with. This is going to sound biased to some people, but if you're really smart, you're going to hire people to help give you lessons quickly and get there faster. And then you unplug them as soon as you feel confident. That's great. I love that. No dentist should have a coach for a decade.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
And maybe you have different coaches over time based on what you're trying to accomplish in life, but go get those people. No one's ever ready. So don't be afraid.
Okay.
You've earned it. Like you got through dental school.
Yeah.
You did what 6% of the people could do.
Yeah.
So like you belong in the room.
Okay. I like that because I also find that the same people they're asking for advice, especially when we look at social media and that stuff, all started from somewhere. Probably all started from the same place.
100%.
Weren't any more ready than they were. Now they might have a year or two under their belt. But it's funny because, if you think back to dental school and you think back to, and I know you talk to a lot of doctors in young dentists in dental school, and you see D1s to D4s and you see GPR folks and everybody in between. So, I don't know. I never went to dental school, but I wouldn't think that a D1 thinks somebody at D3 is like that much more advanced, but maybe they do.
Right.
And I would tell you that that's funny because if I had a 2-year-old and I was 2 years more advanced than you who haven't had any children yet, great, but I'm not going to I'm smart enough, so I'm not going to tell you all there is to know about being a dad because I only know up until 2. And after that, I don't know much. And up until 2 is pretty crazy and on some hand, pretty simple. Because then when they can, as toddlers start telling you no and talk back to you, then a whole nother box of issues opens up or a whole other can of worms. So I think that there's something to be said for jumping out of the plane, if you will, to know the parachute works. I like that phrase a lot. And also understanding that the folks that you're asking were in your seat a year or two ago.
Yeah.
They're not that much more advanced.
They're really not.
They haven't had that much more experience than you.
Yeah.
It's a relationship. I've had a 2-year relationship. Okay. Does that mean you know all there's to know about relationships? Probably not. Ever been married? No. Engaged? No. Okay. So then what am I asking you for? That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. In fact, I'm guessing I'm not unlike a lot of dental students, but I look to the people who are a year or two ahead of me. And how I looked at them was like, well, if that guy could get to that point, then clearly I can pass and get to the next level.
I'll be just fine.
Right?
Yeah.
So don't forget that that doesn't change because they cross the stage and
that's fair.
And you're still a third year.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Do you think that is it dangerous to wait around to be clinically perfect? Is it dangerous to wait around to be mentally ready? Is there one that's more suitable than the other to say, okay, well, if you are clinically perfect, I think that that's more jeopardizing in business ownership to be clinically perfect or striving for clinical perfection. But I also, having never had to do the clinical part, I don't know.
Yeah, I would say if you're clinically proficient, like you can legitimately look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I can look at 8 out of 10 patients, figure this thing out, do some good dentistry. I know my limitations because that's the other thing too. Just because you own your own practice doesn't mean you need to do all the work, right? You can decide like, hey, that tooth's a little bit too tough. I'm going to send it to a surgeon or an endodontist or a periodontist. Own your lane and then continually develop yourself. So if you want to be a super GP one day, okay, work towards that over 5-6 years. But in the beginning, just master what you're great at and know when to pass the baton to a specialist.
So then what's the thing they should, and it's different at different stages of their career.
Yeah.
But moving from associate to ownership, what's the number one thing they should try to master or get a hell of a lot better at that most aren't?
Clinically, I would say diagnosis and treatment planning. And on the back side of that, treatment acceptance. So your ability to communicate with your patients and get yes. Because I've met a lot of really talented dentists who are horrible business people because none of their patients actually say yes to the treatment. So, who cares if you've gone to Coyce, Pankey, Dawson, or Spear? Yeah. If you're in the AACD, if all your patients say no, it doesn't matter.
Do you think that's because, I find it, we can call it influence, but I find that good old-fashioned selling is considered a bad word in most industries. And I feel like a lot of dentists, the rebuttal is, well, I don't want to be seen as a used car salesman. And it's like, I don't even think used car salesmen would be seen as used car salesmen, okay? They'll probably tell you that they're car brokers or some fancy term that exists nowadays that didn't exist when we were growing up.
Yeah.
So to your point, they need to get better at, we'll say, influencing patients to say yes to treatment. Because the treatment could be 100% spot on, and you've gone to all the courses, and you know all your stuff. You know, this is the damn treatment plan. This is what you should be doing.
Yeah.
It's the way in which they deliver that information that really sabotages their success.
100%. So for all those people who are listening to this or, you know, watching clips of this, who are afraid to quote sell, and I get that because I would tell you I don't like that 4-letter word either.
Yeah, I know you don't.
So for me, I would 2 words: patient promise. What I want you to do is think about every single person who sits in any chair in your practice and pretend they're your favorite person. I used to say family, but you know, lots of us have issues with family. So if that is literally your favorite person in the chair, what would you want for them? And now your job is to help them understand that and say yes to that. So I don't want anyone to overdiagnose or overtreat or do something they're not really good at, but decide for yourself what your patient promise is, build a team around you who believes in that patient promise, and then work really hard all day, every day to help your patients understand that. And now you're not selling anything.
You're just delivering on the commitment you made to
100%.
yourself, to your team, essentially to the community. As long as the people that are coming in the door need to believe what you believe about that stuff.
100%.
And the right ones will, and the wrong ones will say, I want to do only what my insurance covers or some goofy thing like that.
Yeah, and then you know what? Like for you personally, that's called integrity, and then you throw that on the outside of your community, and that's called brand.
Yeah.
But they're really synonyms as far as this conversation goes. And then everybody draws a line in the sand and says, you know what? I'm okay babysitting up until this point, and then at point when I have to cross that, then patient David, you might need to go see the next person down the street. I'm like, that's okay.
Yeah.
I promise you, 10 people will love you more for that than the one person who walks out your door.
Do you find it's trickier in that world, acquisition versus startup, to get that patient promise? I would tell you it's trickier acquisition versus startup, but do you see the same thing?
I agree. I think if you buy a practice, then what you need is that goodwill piece from that selling dentist, which is anoint me as a great dentist, help the team understand I'm that great dentist. And what I find in an acquisition is if the team really believes in you and that patient promise, the patients will follow.
Yeah.
If the team doesn't, then you are absolutely right. That gets trickier. So you might need to 0 to 6 months, ease in, 6 months to a year, a little more easing. And by the time you hit month 13, like you should be able to sprint.
You had a partner and then you brought in another younger doctor to come in, right?
Yeah.
And there's a second transition period there, if you will.
Yeah.
And I know you really slowly phased out on your side, right? Because now today you're a resident of Florida, but you were flying back and forth for a little while. Did you find that was the right thing to do? Was it better to slowly phase it out? Do you find that it depends on the practice, rip the Band-Aid off?
Yeah.
Because I would say you did a really good job.
Thanks.
But also would love to hear your feedback on like, hey, hindsight's 20/20. We could have done this different or better or worse.
Yeah, I would say personally for me, and that back to that self-determined future.
Yeah.
So my self-determined future was I adored every single person I worked with for 28 years. They mattered more to me than I mattered to me.
Got it.
So I felt like for me the transition was ideal. Would my transition over the course of time be as good for the next person? No. Hey, listen, so I was 50. If you're 65, then I would want to skedaddle out the door as fast as possible. And if I'm a young dentist buying that practice, I would only want me in there. More than 6 months, maybe more than a month or two, I would only want me there if there was enough dentistry to support us both. But otherwise, I would want me gone.
Yeah.
So I think every situation is different. And if you're a young dentist who's walking into a practice like that, then you have to assess your situation and know yourself and know the finances of the practice and what it can support.
Now, I know you guys did something really cool on the Ignite side. I think, I don't know, maybe you do it annually, but I remember the one you did a couple years ago about the GPR residency program.
Guides?
The guides.
Yeah.
And I thought that was super slick because I'd never seen anything like it before. And it really helped. It was almost like that Newsweek does like a thing on colleges, right? It was like, hey, this college for this and this college for that, and here's the best business schools versus medical schools. And you guys broke out, I think, every single residency program, right?
Almost all of them.
Okay. I don't even know how many there are, so we'll just say every single one.
We'll just leave it there.
Yeah. But so you guys broke that down, and I thought that was really helpful for doctors. So how do you help young doctors in that world of like, today most of them are going to decide, do I go DSO, do I go private practice, do I do this, that? What are you guys doing to help support the young docs in the community today on that, like, hey, here's the best thing for you based on maybe a certain set of criteria, certain questions that you ask them, or whatever? Because there isn't a published book that says, here's the best DSOs to work for and the best private practice to work for. But
yeah. So listen, I think when you come out of school, everybody's got a certain level of debt.
Oh, yeah.
And then some people are more restricted on their zip code versus we get dentists sometimes. I'm like, hey, where do you want to go? And they're like, well, I'll go to California, Texas, New York. I'm like, well, that's way too many.
Yeah.
We got to narrow it down.
Yeah.
But if you're somebody who's got a tighter radius, then I think you're going to be more limited. And if I were you coming out of school then, I would choose the best opportunity, whether it was a private practice or a DSO, and I would realize that, hey, realistically, I'm going here for 2 years and getting reps.
Right.
Whether it's a private practice situation or a DSO, right? Listen, I dated a few practices as an associateship that didn't work out, and they were traditional, so it can happen on both sides. So I think that's the case. If sky's the limit or you have an opportunity to go into a traditional practice where there really is mentorship and they can actually support you financially, they're busy enough to do it, man, I'm going there all day long.
Okay.
But it has to give you enough reps, and there's got to be a doc in there that really wants to help you.
I know personally, I've worked with a few doctors that were Ignite docs and that were in a position of, I'm an associate and I'm going to take over from the owner doctor. And I'm like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
True.
But all of them, went really, really well. And I don't know if that's something that because you know so much about both sides of the line, business ownership side and clinician side. Are you having conversations with these folks? Are you guys getting in the community and saying, hey, like, look, when you see these milestones, those are green flags.
Yeah.
These are yellow flags. And somebody, because I know you have a really good connection with the docs. Some of them probably just pick up the phone and call you. And you're like, hey, those are red flags. Like, you should probably start thinking exit, or they're going to make you exit, or they're going to take advantage of you for as long as they possibly can. Is that how it goes down? Because again, like, I know there isn't a published set of criteria. So on one hand, I can't point anybody listening or watching onto, hey, website tells you exactly what to do in a DSO versus a private practice.
Yeah.
But I know the community is super powerful.
Thank you.
So what is it that simple? You're just answering those questions as they come, or you give them like, hey, look, here's some green flags, here's some yellow flags, here's some, oh crap.
So there's a little bit of the green flag, red flag, yellow flag. There's also a component to, very thankfully, 31 years, I hate saying that out loud, but with 31 years bought me and now a team full of people, right? So we got guys like James have been out a decade and Tara and like we've got a good crew of people. What that has bought us is like, we know who's on the other end. And if we don't know that doc personally, then we know the people on the industry side, and we can say like, hey, is this Jonathan guy a good guy or is he an okay guy?
Right.
And
Smart.
so we can help steer. I'm going to be really honest with you. The best young dentists, we put in the best practices.
Okay.
And that is why they do transition, they do take over, they do have ownership. But if you're just, if you're not committed as a young dentist, I can't put you in that practice because I owe the other person on the other side, a promise too. So that's our like sort of patient promise. But in general, sure, we teach young docs how to interview the owner.
Yeah.
Because
that's the part of the secret. Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely part of the secret. Like, yes, you want the job, but I think most new grads are like, I just need to grab this because I'm so desperate. And it's because they start, in April, and they're getting out in 2 months. And if they started in February, what I can promise almost every D4 or resident is if you reach out to me by February, you're going to have multiple offers. Yeah. And now, not that you're totally in control, but you have some control. So you can interview me or you or anyone else and find out, like, is this going to be a fit or not?
Right. Is the blanket statement, because I want to know if this is like a dangerous statement or not. Is it, I tell people, hey, if you know you're going to be, some folks come out of school and I'm going to do a startup right away. I know this, I know that. I have an idea where I want to be, hometown, blah, blah, blah. My blanket statement is cool, then just take a DSO gig and use that as a means to an end. Is that too much blanketed? Is that too generic? Is that dangerous?
I think it's fair so long as you don't lock yourself out of a radius.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
That's totally agree.
I think that's the only, the concept of a restrictive covenant is a thing. And I know like they're not really enforceable, but at the end of the day, if I have all the money and all the power, it's enforceable because I'm going to drag you
because
through
I got
court.
the attorneys and you don't. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's stressful, and that's all the things.
And you don't want to go through that. But no, I think that's a great way to look at it is like, hey, go get your reps, go where you really want to go. You're going to have some experience. Just understand that not all reps are good reps. I'd rather you do 100 crowns really well than 500 crowns half-assed.
Like 10 perfect push-ups is better than using your knees and doing 100 push-ups.
Exactly, yeah. Okay. So don't learn bad lessons along the way.
Okay, I think that's smart. Do you have any like, hey, doc, if you are in any associate gig, make sure you're getting a chance to do a little of this, a little of that, so that when they come out, because banks are going to look at production capability as a part of the criteria. And it's not the end-all be-all, because you could be in a Medicaid practice doing nothing but really kind of simple dentistry, and you're seeing a ton of patients, but your production is technically suppressed or compressed because of Medicaid.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you a good dentist or bad dentist, but are there things that you have them, hey, make sure you're doing more of this, or get to know which reps are good reps?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we all kind of know a little bit when we walk out of school who we want to be when we grow up.
Okay.
So make sure you're getting, a healthy wheel based on percentages of what you want to do. And then I would say, to your point, I think the number one thing to do as an associate is negotiate before you ever walk in the door your ability to look at your day sheets and have them. Because a lot of practices want to lock you out of that. If you ask for it on the way in, it's hey, I want to be the best associate you've ever had. And this will be a measurement of how I'm progressing to take great care of your patients. So to your point, you can go to the bank, whether it's production or not, and you could say like, month 1, I did 50 this, but boy, my month 7.
Crushed.
I'm at 150.
Okay. I think that's smart. I'm reminded, my phone was blowing up the other day in some group. Somebody posted, I'm getting paid this for my associateship and my production's off. And they were saying how terrible it was, but no context, as most of those groups are, right?
Yeah.
But no one in the group had said, hey, did you just ask to see a copy of how are you calculating my pay? If I think it's wrong, then just tell me how you're calculating it. And if they can't tell you that or show you that, then red flag number 1.
Huge red flag.
On the flip side, though, a lot of the group came in and said, which is a valid point, hey, you might be seeing a gross production number, and by the time you get to insurance write-offs in a heavy PPO practice, they are paying you adequately with what they're actually going to collect on. They're going to collect 40% less than whatever your gross production number was, just as a PPO average write-off amount, and then you're going to get paid 32% of that, and okay, you might be getting paid spot on. However, you're seeing and I remember the quote was, I'm producing $900,000 in dentistry and getting paid $162,000 at 32%. That sounds wrong to me. And of course, that math doesn't math.
Yeah.
But also, are you seeing this gross number, whatever? And so I love what you said about, hey, negotiate up front. I want to see my day sheets. I want to track my KPIs, or I want to track my progress, might be a better way to say it. And if they can't share that with you, if they're unwilling to share that with you, then right away, a red flag, in my opinion, or at least a big, heavy yellow flag that maybe everything else can work itself out, but that's a tough one.
Yeah, that is a tough one. And that's why I think, friendship aside and all the great things you do, like one of the things I really like about you is like your ability to quickly assess math is important. And I think if you're a young dentist and you're walking into any relationship, like spend the money, get an attorney, like so you know what you're saying yes to, because I think that's the you
most
think you said yes
don't
to
know
X.
that part about the gross, adjusted, whatever. They just go, you're going to get paid on adjusted production. Okay, that's fair. That's what I see, typical. And I think that, not a knock on attorneys, but they see, 32% is better than 30.
Very true.
Whatever.
Yeah. So the right attorney.
Yeah. Right. Fair.
The right attorney, the right CPA, the right coach and consultant. I think makes a difference because this is going to sound terrible, but I'd argue like 80% of them are the wrong ones. Yeah. But dentists and chiropractors, like we have targets on our back.
I told somebody the other day, because they're like, man, I can't believe this happened to a doctor I know. I go, and it was actually a friend. So it was a dentist I'm talking to. I said, look, doc, the truth is dentists are easy to fool.
Yeah.
You again, that voice you keep telling yourself is, I don't know much about business. I don't know how to evaluate a practice. And I appreciate that you want to stay in your lane. But then you better find out who the hell does.
Right.
And then be able to trust them, to your point in the beginning of the conversation. Because otherwise, anybody can put up a website. Anybody can create a document that this and that and the other. I don't know how you figure out who to trust and who not to trust necessarily, but it is easy to fool a dentist, especially if we're talking business. It's hard to fool you if we were talking crowns and all the other procedures that I wouldn't even begin. Like I've been in the game now 20 years, or no, longer than that. No, yeah, 20 years. Well, almost 20. 2007 is when I started. But I wouldn't even know how to read an x-ray, even though I've seen hundreds of them in intraoral photos and all that stuff. But I would be like, if some doctor was like, "Hey, you see that?" I'm like, yes, that looks. I'm Leonardo DiCaprio in Catch Me If You Can. Like, do you concur? Yeah, sure, I concur, and I have no idea. And so I don't necessarily know how to tell folks, here's how you decide on the right person to trust. But I will tell you that it is easy to fool you, and that is a bummer. And I think that kind of breeds then a distrust for anybody in the business world. Like, oh, well, are you fooling me, or were you going to take advantage of me, or all those things?
Yeah.
So maybe a different podcast for a different day. But to that point, folks got to be, I guess, careful with who they trust, of course, but also a little bit more of, hey, look, make sure that, does this mesh up with what you think it's supposed to?
Yeah, and be a perpetual student, right? So just because I have the greatest CPA in the world and I knew nothing when I bought that practice, the cool thing was, like, because he wasn't afraid I was going to leave. He was going to keep teaching me until one day I'm like, oh, that's why we do all these things. And now I knew a lot of things. I still call him up.
Yeah, smart.
All these years later, like his blessing means everything. But to your point, we don't work together every week or every quarter anymore.
Yeah. Well, and it just came to me. If the person that you're talking about, your future, is in a role, I don't care if it's an equipment guy, I don't care who it is, are they asking you questions, or do they just get in front of you and go, here's what I can do. This. I'm great. I'm cool. You're going to do it because we did the dental event and then your friends worked with me or whatever. If they're not asking you any questions about, well, what do you want to do and how do you want to see it done and what matters most to you or what's most important to you in this process, I mean, to me, that's the verge of like them not being right for you.
That's a really great point. And this literally just happened to me this week.
Good.
And to your point about dentists and how easy we are to fool, this is a very well tenured, very successful, started 3 different emerging groups over time, sold them all, and now he's working with another group. I mean, this guy gets it.
Yeah.
And thankfully, Trust got referred to us to help build an onboarding process for this group. And, 30 minutes deep was like, can we start next week? I'm like, I don't know enough about you to know if I can even help you.
Yeah.
So step 1 is, I'm going to follow up and literally send you 30 questions.
Yeah.
You've got to sit back with those things. So you're right. If anybody who's on that core team we were talking about doesn't ask you who you want to be when you grow up and like have all the right questions where you're scratching your head almost, maybe tap the brakes a little bit.
Yeah. Then that also leads me to, and this is at least how I do it, but also be then with people that you can build a strong enough relationship with where they're not going to tell you what you want to hear, but really tell you what you need to know. Sometimes those go hand in hand, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
And there's, of course, a right way and a wrong way to tell you what you maybe not want to hear, but what you need to know. But there are a lot of people that will just tell you all your ideas are good ideas.
Yeah. Right
up until you go, oh, I'm out of money. How'd that happen? I had an $800,000 bank loan. Why am I out? Because every idea you have is a good idea. The CEREC system was a good idea, and the 3D printer was a good idea, and 3,000 square feet was a good idea, and all the chairs and all the units and all the things were great ideas until you're out of money.
Yeah.
Or maybe you run out of time.
Right.
Or any one of those things. And so I find that sometimes is, I bet you I've turned off more startup doctors from working with me by being honest with them and saying, hey, I don't think you should necessarily build out 3,000 square feet. And usually my reasoning behind that is, hey, doc, I don't get anything. Like, it would be in my better interest to tell you, yeah, all your ideas are good ideas. So you maybe think I'm a good guy and you want to work with me.
Right.
Because I don't get anything if you sign up for 2,000 square feet or 3,000 square feet or 1,000 square feet. It's the same either way. I'm trying to make sure that we can deliver something that is really what you want. Because most folks at the end of the day want profitability, less stress, more time on their side to do what they want to do, all those things. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. But I see a lot of mistakes early on. I get calls often now more than ever about doctors that I have to have 3,000 square feet. I have to have 8 chairs. Yeesh,
Yeah,
and I think we've probably talked about that before. But I mean, the calls don't stop. I have to have this. Where's the 3,000 square feet and the 8 chairs? I'm like, well, we're in Newport Beach, California. I mean, those don't exist. Or do you have a spare $1 million sitting around to pay the rent on that every year? Good luck.
Yeah.
Is there anything out there right now that I am afraid of the $1 million startup? I think that, I love that the banks are lending more than they've ever lent. I love there's more banks lending than ever before. We were talking about banks earlier. But I find that, like, where do you think people should be getting information from? Because we talk about information over affirmation before. Where do you think they should be going to get information from besides like shamelessly plugging yourself? Because I'm fine if you want to do that too, but I know you're an honest person. Like, where should they be looking for, and probably steps? D4 should be looking for information here before they go into associate position. An associate should be looking for information in these brackets before they go to ownership position.
100%. So first of all, I'm going to shamelessly plug you,
Oh,
which anyone who knows me, and again, I'm on social media more to try to bring objective information. So anyone who's ever seen me in any group, I'm like, if you think you're going to do a startup or this is your first practice, there's only one guy to call, right? I mean, I say that literally 4 times a week to people. If you are coming out of school and you're going into an associateship, I would say, first of all, like you probably have at least one faculty member who's part-time that you admire. Maybe, hopefully, if you've not been in the practice, you should go to the practice to see if they're walking their talk.
Make sure, yep.
Made that mistake.
I love that.
Totally made that mistake. But that's a person. I would absolutely get with people who maybe are 5-6 years out, not 2 years out, but 5-6 years out, and just say, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Does this make sense or not make sense? I feel like those people have enough experience underneath their belt, and they'll be truth talkers because they've got no skin in the game.
Yeah, smart.
I like that. I mean, sure, you should reach out to us. I will tell you that sometimes I'm the right voice, and a lot of times I'm not. It's somebody else on our team who is a young dentist, 5 years out to 10 years out. They're closer to you, so I would definitely want to talk to them. That costs you nothing but time. And then I think, when you're going to move from associateship to, owning a practice, again, I would call you because what I want is unbiased information. Marry ownership first. Yeah. Marry the startup or the acquisition based on your circumstances, based on your zip code, based on your family dynamics. Like, we've had this conversation. I own a house here. I have kids here. Okay, you're not going to drive, 45 miles in California because it's an hour plus away so you can go buy a business. That's silly and uproot your family. So I think just take it a step at a time. And when somebody gives you great advice and it works out, then maybe consult that person the next time because they either will be the right person or they'll have enough integrity to say, hey, that's not me anymore. You should talk to this person. I
want to take that one, I guess elaborate on that. If you find people in this industry today that are willing to say, hey, you know what, it's not me, but I do know somebody. I think that'd be great. You should ask them this.
Totally.
A person make an intro, whatever. That might be like the number one thing that somebody could do for you. Because I find that there are a lot of people that represent themselves as all the things. And we could go down and I could pick on not individuals, but silos in the industry that represent all facets and all things, and I can do everything. And I find that the smartest ones are like, hey, I know what I know really well, and then I know people that do this other stuff really well, and so you should call them. I'm not the person for you. Let me send a text intro. Then that way they'll take your call right away. I've made the mistake before of I'll have doctors say, hey, can I talk to some people that you've worked with or whatever? And I'll say, yeah, cool, great. Here's their number. Give them a call, whatever. But like most folks, see an unknown number, not answer it, go a week or two, and the doctor's like, hey, they never took my call. I'm like, well, they are a busy practitioner. They don't know your number. Let me just send an intro, and then watch how everything gets that much easier. And so I think sometimes too, when you refer somebody out into the world of experts that it takes your time. You're reaching out to them and say, hey, look, I'm introducing you to somebody who won't waste your time. And that, hey, we want to invest time in this relationship. Boom, boom, boom. I don't know if enough doctors appreciate that are young in career. They will when they're older. They will when they say, hey, David, we want to get your, we want to get your veneers done or whatever. But we've got to get your bite fixed first. So you got to go to the ortho and get sorted out and all these things. And I'm going to personally reach out to them and let them know you're going to call and blah, 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 blah. Now, you may never call. That's your prerogative as a patient. That's your choice. But it's that much more powerful because that ortho is going to prioritize everything right away and knows that it came from another professional, someone they trust, someone they know. Here it is. So I find that for some folks, it's that if they're also look for the people that aren't telling you they can do it all. I can do everything. I know everything. I'm a CPA and I'm an attorney and I'm a consultant and I'm a dentist and I'm a thing and a thing. I'm like, holy smokes, okay. Please.
No, that's exactly it. I mean, even when we're in there coaching clients and, we look at some practices, we will never name names, right? You walk in, there's like 400,000+ accounts receivable. I'm like, listen, if I was a full-time team member or Dawn was a full-time team member, of course she could knock that down. But if you outsource that to these people who are really good at that, and then once you go and collect, 300 of that 400, you're developing somebody in your team, same thing. So yeah, you've got to work with people who are masters in their lane and aren't afraid to
make more sense for you to just say, yeah, we'll do it for you and we'll charge you more money and whatever.
Yeah, we could have easily done that, but no, I agree with you. Listen, people who are jacks of all trades usually aren't busy.
Yeah.
So they just say yes to everything. And then unfortunately the person who loses is the person who's writing the check.
Yeah.
And they figure that's why to this point, like consultants, marketers have such a bad rap because all these people who didn't know what they were doing, were really good salespeople. And people are hesitant to write that check the second or the third time around. And it's unfortunate.
I say this all the time. I say marketers better be really good at marketing themselves. Yeah. So, of course, the pitch deck was great. Of course, the thing that you got on and Zoom called with them about was awesome. But how do you know? And did you vet them out? Or who did you talk to? Or whatever? And they're like, well, the presentation was awesome. I'm like, well, they're in marketing. That part better be buttoned up pretty well.
Right. Exactly.
It'd be like, I might be more worried if there was a dentist that was really good at selling or influencing, and I'd be like, wait, are you good at dentistry though? I don't know if this is if you're really good at dentistry.
Right. And you ask 10 dentists in a neighborhood, they would admit that.
Yeah, exactly.
They would admit that very thing. So take that lesson forward and understand that when you're hunting for partners in your life.
Well, gosh. So at the risk of going on long. We got to wrap it up, and you are experiencing Southern Cal traffic. So where can we find you? Let's talk socials. Let's talk places that people can connect with you. Where would that be?
Sure. Social at IgniteDDS on Instagram. We're on Facebook. So if you're a little more of a seasoned pro and you're on there, you can find me there under IgniteDDS or my name, David Rice. LinkedIn, same. You are welcome to email me. It is my name. It's david.rice@ignitedds.com. And if you go to our website, IgniteDDS.com, there's a button that, sends me all the messages, and then better people than me and my team kind of
You got a lot of resources on there still too, right?
Yeah,
a lot of downloads, a lot of cool stuff in there.
We have a lot of amazing guides in there for all levels that are free. I am a firm believer in, like, at some point you have to write checks.
Yeah, of course.
But there's a lot of stuff out there that you can get, 10,000-foot view information on that will help you discover, do I want to learn more about that before I write that check? Or am I not interested in that at all? Does that not serve me? So take advantage of those things.
And it proves that you're not trying to fool them with like some fancy thing. So thank you, my friend, for being a part of it. Thanks for making the trip out.
Yes, sir.
We could go on for a couple more hours. But again, thanks again. Appreciate it, man.
My pleasure.